All right, what do we got? Let's talk football.
Can you give us some updates on a couple injuries? Hegarty was not in uniform or in practicing in council as well?
Concussions for both of them. So going through our protocol, I think both of them have moved quickly through our protocol and are on the back end of it.
And how about Torrey Hunter?
Torrey Hunter is, in terms of where he is, he had a grade 3, which is fairly significant groin tear. He received his first PRP this week. He'll have 2 more, 4 to 6 weeks for Torrey. Fairly significant injury.
Sam Mustafer?
Midfoot sprain, not a Lisfranc, midfoot. I would say, he's coming out of the boot this weekend and should have him, moving around here pretty soon. Not one that we're, obviously overly concerned. He's missed some time, but a midfoot sprain for Sam.
Devin Butler.
Ivy.
And looked like Kavari just tweaked. Maybe.
Yeah, we just did, we're at that point where day 6, probably a little bit of overuse there for him, so we're just a little bit cautious with him, obviously, as you can imagine.
Mike Denbrock back at it.
Yeah, it's great to see Mike out there.
Is he back for good?
Well, he's not going to be able to, be out here at long periods of time. He's going to pick his spots. He was able to come out for, I think he'll be able to do maybe an hour a day, here probably for the next, week or so, a couple of weeks, and, gradually increase his time with us. But it was great to see Mike out there for, he was yelling at the officials, so I knew he was starting to feel a little bit better. So it was good.
Fred, you've been very complimentary of Chris Brown up to this point. So what do you attribute the growth that you're seeing from him?
Well, I think it started with, first, we had a great, mentor in TJ Jones, and I think he saw the growth of TJ and kind of mirrored that and saw an opportunity there. When Davaris was not with us, Chris really by de facto was the veteran of that group, and so he was put in a leadership position in the spring and really kind of took off. So I think the circumstances led to him really emerging at that position. And then, I think when you see some light at the top there, you kind of take hold. And he was our clearly this week our best receiver consistently. Route running, releases. He still has to be more consistent in catching the football. But clearly he was our best guy this week.
And Daniel's inactivity, at least in the second portion when I was watching offense, does he have an injury or?
He's been limited with a groin injury, so it's just not fair for me to put him in there. He hasn't earned the starting position, so Chris is really the starter there right now.
What do you still have to see out of Folston and Bryant between now and August 30th?
Boy. I think with Greg, mental errors and trust of his offensive line. He has a tendency to, to give you an example, you have to be patient to let those linemen work to a second level. Greg will have a tendency to just, spurt out without that block setting up. And, Cam does a great job of setting that up and then hitting it. And Greg's got to trust his linemen and not just let his athletic ability take over. Because that'll work sometimes, but when you need it in those crucial situations, he's going to run into an out. So learning the playbook and knowing all the ins and outs of what we do, and then trusting the blocking schemes. Turian, I think just take it over. I mean, at times I'd like to see him be more than just who he is, and it almost seems like you have to push him a little bit more than I'd like. I'd like to see a little bit more, hey, I'm going to take this position over. And he's really talented, and it looks like, you know, we have to push him a little bit. I'd like to see a little bit more from him that I want to be the starter and I don't want to share the ball with anybody. And so I think he's just got to decide that every day he's going to be the guy.
In terms of the Power 5 situation that's come up, there's a lot of talk among coaches about the scheduling being exclusive scheduling. What's your stance on what they're talking about, that concept of exclusive?
Well, you know that we would be extremely excited if everybody would go down the same road and play the kind of schedule we do. We think that that would be, you know, a level playing field. Now, we believe that there's enough people on the committee that recognize the kind of schedule we play. There's people that's on that committee that know Notre Dame and know the kind of schedule we play, but clearly that if the 5 power conferences are playing the kind of schedule that we're playing, I think we have a, you know, level playing field.
But would that eliminate Navy then?
Well, it would bring into the question as to whether we can count that, and I think that Navy has shown themselves to be, you know, at least a top, you know, 30 team fairly consistently, and you know, beat a Big Ten team last year, so I don't think you can count Navy out of the conversation.
Ryan, how much do you hope to get into the stadium and work on the new field turf through
Yeah.
camp? Have you given that any thought yet?
Sure. Yeah, we're going to be in there Monday. You know, we'll get a chance to get right in there and get the work. You know, it won't be something, because we're still dealing with one field, so it wouldn't be something that I would go there exclusively, because we do like to break up and have some more room for our individual work. But clearly, we want to get much more familiar with our stadium and comfortable with the environment. So we'll be in there on Monday.
Why was that initiative so important for you, do you think?
The initiative of the field turf? Well, simply for competitive reasons. You know, we felt as though that the surface did not at times allow us to play as fast as we needed to. And you know, if you can't, you know, if you're working so hard to put your football team together and your surface at home is really not where it needs to be, then you need to make the changes, and that's why ultimately we made the change.
That's one for me. Kyle Brinza, obviously he's been around for a long time. Kickers have a lot of highs and lows. What are your impressions of him over your time?
Well, I'd say he's a, you know, clutch would be the first thing that comes to mind. You know, a lot of clutch kicks. He's not afraid of the moment. And somebody that's willing to, you know, really do something that at this level that is very difficult to do, and that's handle all the chores. So it takes a special kid, one that's ultimately confident in his own ability to do that.
Brian, what do you see on Corey Robinson?
Well, his development, just understanding the game, you know. I mean, every day is for Corey learning more about football, and he's a sponge. I mean, he's taking it in. You know, releases, top end of routes, you know, how to set up a defender. You know, not making the same release, you know, versus man twice. You know, mixing it up. Just, you know, just learning the nuances of the position. You know, and so just his development in year 2. You know, not just using his size, but now really becoming a student of the game.
You talked about the injury to Torrey Hunter and DeVaris Daniels being slow. Are you worried at all about depth at receiver, or are you happy?
Yeah, I mean, anytime you lose 2 guys like that, you know, you start to have to count on some other guys. So, you know, Justin Brent's had to get a lot more reps, and Corey Holmes. You know, we have to accelerate the development of Corey Holmes. I think Corey is a very gifted receiver. You know, he reminds me a lot of Will Fuller as a freshman. So we have to really work to develop, you know, both those guys when we lose, guys like that. So we'll see. We think those kids can be good players. They're just a little young right now.
Tyler Luatua, you mentioned him a week ago, just how impressive he was in the summer, but today we saw him kind of all over the field, out of the backfield, and some read option stuff. And you generally don't play 3 tight ends in a year, but he's a guy who you are pretty confident can get on the field this year.
Yeah, he's going to play. We're going to feature some, backfield sets that will allow him to really use his, size. He's a load. He's close to 270 pounds, and when he brings it, he's a heavy load. And we haven't had that kind of downhill, physicality that changes the pace. We can still play fast and then play downhill, and he gives us some really good flexibility. He's fullback / H-back that gives us some versatility that we would like to have, especially, blue zone going in, black zone coming out, some short yardage situations. He can help us.
Coach, where are you at week or so? Quarterback battle.
Where are we at?
In the quarterback battle.
Well, we're 6 days into it. I think that, we're starting to really get the quarterbacks now through the installation. I think now that we're through the installation, today was our next to last day. So I think Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, I then start to look at, all right, we'll chart now aggressively and look for, all right, separation at that position. But it's hard to get that separation when you're telling them to throw a route into coverage that it's not meant for that play, because you're just installing it. So we'll get into that probably early next week and start to get a feel for, as you said, that true competition. But the first 5 and 6 days you're laying down installation, and it's hard to really truly say, look, if you're making a decision in these 5 days, you already knew who your quarterback was, really. So I wanted to get the installation in, and then we'll start to really focus in on who the guy is this week, because we'll put him in those competitive situations in 7-on-7 and in our team that will allow them to make those kinds of decisions.
Going into the year, you were pretty happy with Cody Riggs this summer. After seeing him in pads for a full week, what does he bring to your perception?
He's a physical corner. He's going to have to learn a lot, because he's going to have to play, probably a couple positions for us. He fits in very well here, mature. He brings a lot of, leadership and experience, so very helpful.
Mentally, how does he help Kavari sort of with having somebody who's experienced and can kind of push them?
They obviously talk a lot about football. Kavari is learning football at that position, and I think Cody has been very helpful in just, experience and talking about, reading receivers, and he's been a good mentor.
How far of a jump has Max Redfield made as far as understanding the defense and trusting him out there?
He's made a good jump. Max is extremely, as we all know, very gifted player. We just gotta continue on the learning curve. We have days where we miss an assignment here, and you can't miss an assignment back there. And so that's where some of our inexperience, we have to be vigilant in making sure that we're clean back there. But he's as we all know, he's extremely gifted back there.
Brian, who in your front 7 of your freshmen have impressed you to this point? Who do you feel like is giving you signs that might be able to help you?
Well, I can tell you the guys that will help us. Johnny Williams will help us. Bonner will help us. Cage will help us. Let's see. Cullen Hill will help us. Those 4 guys have shown an ability to pass rush on 3rd down. Now, they're not probably going to be every down players, but they can come off the edge for us. So those 4 guys, in the front 7 will be able to help us.
How about Niles Morgan? What do you think you can get out of him as a freshman?
I mean, we're trying. It's a lot. We're bringing them along. Brian and Bobby Elliott are doing a great job. It's just it's a lot of work to get there. We had Manti Te'o and his freshman year. You guys knew. I said this when I watched him on film. He had a long way to go after his freshman year, and he was a 5-star, one of the best players in the country. So it's a lot, and he's really extremely athletic and a gifted player, and he's got a lot of want to. It's going to take some time, and he's working at it.
Brian, through the first week or so, do you have a better sense of what you may be able to get out of Derek Grace, whether it's week 1 or the rest of the season?
Not yet, because we haven't cut him loose yet. You know what I mean? So we're not at that point where he is, running downhill or running sideline to sideline. So we're probably another, solid week to 10 days before I can give you an honest assessment as to whether he's ready, in the first, second, or third week.
When you moved Ronnie Stanley left tackle in the spring, I don't know if that was a definite move at the time or you were just trying it out, but has there been any doubt since that move that that's where you wanted to situate him and he could handle that spot?
Well, there's been no doubt on Ronnie Stanley at any position. But when you make that, there's a natural domino effect. That's been the question mark.
More of the other guys.
Exactly, right? So when we put him in there, it's the domino effect from there that we got to, Monday, Tim, honestly, we probably got to just say, this is the 5, and start to build some kind of, we've been in a lot of different lineups up there. We're trying to find the right matches there, and we're probably going to have to kind of start settling in. So when you guys see us again next week, we're probably going to be close to finding those 5. We'll have an in-depth conversation. That will probably be our number 1 conversation as an offensive staff this weekend.
As a follow-up to that, how has Steve Elmer at right tackle? He moved around so much last year as a freshman. Has he found maybe more of a permanent home as a right tackle?
He has all the tools, but he's playing like he's a guard at tackle right now. And so that's why it's important that we kind of settle in on where he is. And what I mean by playing like a guard, you got to set a lot differently at the tackle position than you do at the guard. He's setting like a guard at tackle because he's played so much guard. And so are we going to move him in or are we going to keep him out? So you can imagine we've got a lot of decisions to make, and we really got to settle that unit in and say, these are the guys that we're going to be working with at these positions and really get them comfortable in those positions.
Who would be like your next alternative at tackle? McGlinchey?
Well, McGlinchey's the next man in, yes,
Both
absolutely.
sides.
Yes, absolutely. Mhm.
You mentioned Redfield, and how has he been in terms of calling out protections and kind of almost quarterbacking the defense from that position?
No, there's no quarterbacking with Max. Austin Collinsworth will do the quarterbacking back there. And then if Austin went down, Matthias Farley would go back there and he would quarterback. Yeah, we're not going to put much on Max's plate. We're going to ask him to do his job, do it fast, and really not put a lot on his plate.
Coach, with the last two, with Chris Brown, when did you kind of notice that he was stepping up and taking on more responsibility? Was it over the spring?
Yeah, I think is what I said in terms of Daniels wasn't here. He really took that group over. And then talking to Coach Longo, we talked about, all right, who's leading those groups? And he said he clearly was the leader, offensively with the wide receivers and even with the offense as a whole.
You followed the O'Ban stuff pretty closely during the summer. Did you get a chance to see the ruling yesterday?
I did.
What were your
I didn't
thoughts?
read all 99 pages. It was a little
At least.
short for time, riding a horse and all.
How it came out and what that means for the future.
Well, as I said, and I've gone on the record, I've seen this as the glass is half full in a sense that although these rulings have gone against the NCAA, and one would think that maybe I should, be careful with my words, I really think that these can work out as positive things for college football in particular, because I think these rulings affect specifically football and basketball. I think if we look at these closely, there's a cap on the O'Bannon, at the cost of attendance. I think if we do a really good job and really stream these through special assistance funds, I think we can make the college experience for our student athletes one that is not where they're getting paid, but one where they can get chances to go home and see their families on breaks and really take care of the incidentals that these kids don't get because they can't, afford a job.
One quick follow-up on this, if you don't mind. The couple
Who is it? I want to see who it is. Who is it? Who is it? Is it a player?
Yeah.
Who is it? Huh? Hey, I'm in a press conference.
Why did you move Farley back to safety?
Well, we haven't.
Okay.
We haven't.
He's still,
He's cross-training.
okay.
Yeah, yeah. So he's really playing, he's playing the nickel. We got him nickel, corner, safety. He's kind of our guy that's playing a little bit of everywhere for us. But if we get into an injury situation and we feel like we need some help back there with a savvy, experienced player, we're not going to leave Max out there by himself.
The question I wanted to follow up, there was a couple teams in the summer talked about doing paying for insurance policies for players that might go to the league and stick around for them. Is that something you guys have discussed? And did you try to do that with any of your juniors past year?
Yeah, I think that's something that we would certainly discuss and find out whether that is in the best interest of everybody involved. So I think we would take that as a case by case, but certainly something that we would entertain and discuss.
Thanks, everybody.
All right, thank you.